So hello dears, today we are going to talk about a very important topic, that is diabetes mellitus, how to approach a patient, how to screen, treatment, what is the protocols we will follow for treating what? Diabetes mellitus. Great. So let's talk about diabetes. Tell me, when you will start a patient, when you will screen a patient, you are suspecting he can have diabetic, he will be diabetic, right? So those who are at a high risk to have diabetes. First one, if the patient is so obese, screen them. It means he is having, that means what? He is having a body mass index more than 25. Or the patient is more than 45 years old. Or other comorbidities, like patient is having hypertension already. There is a risk. I am not saying sure they will be diabetic, but there is a risk they can have what? Diabetes. Okay. So first thing what we do is we check how you screen the patient. If a patient comes to you, you check the RBS, GRBS, a random blood sugar. If that is more than 200, today I am checking a patient. He is not diabetic before. I see the glucose level is more than 200. My God, there is a chance you are diabetic. Come tomorrow morning. I cannot say confirming you are diabetic, right? I cannot confirm him. But I will say him to come tomorrow early morning fasting. I will check his what? Fasting blood sugar, right? In the empty stomach, you have to come and check your what? Blood sugar. The blood sugar in the empty stomach is between 70 to 100 milligram per deciliter. That patient is what? Normal, like Ashiq or someone is normal patient. But in the empty stomach, if you see, it is more than 125 milligram per deciliter. Not more than, sorry, it is between 100 and 125. I can call it as he is in a border. This patient is at a high risk, he is pre-diabetic. Or he is having what? Subclinical diabetes mellitus. If the patient have more than 125 milligram per deciliter, sure I can call him, hey brother, hey patient, you are diabetic. More than 125 what? In fasting level, right? Then what we do to confirm again, we will ask them postprandial blood sugar after eating. Or I can give oral glucose to him. We call it as oral glucose tolerance test. Oral glucose tolerance test. I will give him glucose, or I will ask the patient to eat some food, and after 2 hours, I will check his blood. If the level is more than 200 again, my God, this patient is what? Diabetic. This is between 140 to 200 milligram per deciliter. Again I can call him, you are pre-diabetic brother. But if it is less than 140, that patient is completely normal. Again. So I just want to make sure you understood the normal value in fasting after food, PPBS and FBS. But what is a golden test to confirm a patient have what? Diabetes. The golden, the best one I am confirming, or I am studying retrospectively the term. I will know at least he have 4 months he is diabetic, because that is in the blood. We call it as glycolated hemoglobin. The golden test. We check HbA1c. Golden one. If someone give you all the option, the best option to confirm someone is diabetic is what? HbA1c. It's a little expensive test, right? It will give you, if in percentage, it is between 5.7 to 6.5, right? You can have value between 5.7 to 6.5, or more than 6.5, or less than 5.7. If more than 6.5, I confirm that patient is diabetic. Between 5.0 and 6.5 is again what? Pre-diabetic or subclinical, and less than is normal. So So this is the last or confirming test for diabetes. From here, we starting the patient with what? Drug, or we confirm the patient is what? Diabetic. So if I got a patient, its HbA1c is glycosylated hemoglobin is more than 6.5, what I will do? For sure I will start the treatment. So how you approach a diabetic patient, right? You know, we have type 1 and type 2 diabetes, right? It's not like we give insulin only in type 1, something like that. You know, type 1 diabetes means what? Sure, the patient will have weight loss. He will have again polydipsia, polyuria, right? And glucose is very high because no insulin. You will see something called IA2 antibody or GAD antibody. In the blood, you see IAD or G. It's autoimmune. Your pancreas, beta cells are destroyed. Right? Type 1. Type 2 also receptor problem. We already discussed in the other videos. Right? I just want to tell you, if someone you diagnose with a diabetic, first thing you will tell him is, hey brother, start diet. Modify your diet. Don't eat too much carbohydrate. Don't eat anything. But if the HbA1c is more than 6.5, I cannot only treat him by diet. I will start a drug at least for 3 months. The first drug we are going to start here is called metformin. Which drug I will be starting? Metformin. We will give 500 mg. We will give him OD once a day and we will check what is happening. Right? We will wait for 3 months. Wait for 3 months. If it's improving, stop the drug, go for diet. If again no change, add a second line anti-diabetic drug, can be glipizide. Any drug you can add. There is nothing like a rule or something. Add second line anti-diabetic drug. Again you wait for 3 months. If it's improving, okay, but still no improvement, right? Then you give what? Insulin. Finally, you confirm this patient needs insulin. We don't care is diabetic type 1 or type 2. We check the level. Or you can say, whenever you see in a patient HbA1c level more than 9%, sure I have to give that patient, I have to start in that patient what? Insulin. So I will start with the metformin, first line bigonides. I can use a glipizide or other gliptans or other drugs, utides, other drugs, right? We have a lot of anti-diabetic drug. I can give you, I think I have already made a video. We already seen that anti-diabetic drug. I will just brief here. So you have different anti-diabetic drugs. But you know now why when I give insulin? Because anti-diabetic drug, you know, the oral drugs, they decrease HbA1c only by 3%. Only by 3%. But if I give a patient insulin, my God, insulin do a big work. They can decrease your HbA1c by, you know, 7%. They can decrease the level of HbA1c by around 7%. But anti-diabetic drug will be decreasing only by what? 3%. Then what else you have to know here? So if the patient is having diabetes, you can give accordingly drug or insulin, right? So there are some famous anti-diabetic drug. The first one, the first line drug, that is called the bigonides. One of the best example of bigonides is what? Metformin. Metformin is the first line drug. The problem is their side effect. They will cause you lactic acidosis. They will cause you vomiting, diarrhea. The dangerous side effect is what? Lactic acidosis. They will cause you acid in your body. My God. Metformin will cause you acid in the body. So can I give this to every patient? No. I cannot give metformin to chronic kidney patient, CKD patient. I can't give to congestive heart or chronic heart disease. Contraindication. Right? Don't give to CKD patient. Chronic kidney disease patient. Don't give to CLD patient. Chronic liver disease patient. Don't give to chronic heart disease patient. Give or don't give? Don't give. Contraindicated. Contraindicated. So that's the first group of drug. Second group, you might have heard about sulfonylurea. Sulfonylurea. The drug is called glipizide. Glipizide. The problem with this drug is they will cause you hypoglycemia and they can cause you congestive heart failure too. So they can cause sudden hypoglycemia, right? There is a drug called thiazolidine diones. Thiazolidine diones, we call it as TZDS. TZDS, the drug ending with TZDS, thiazolidine diones, right? So that is called glitazones, the drug ending with glitazones. The problem with this drug is they will cause you weight gain. Weight gain. Then next group, there is something called dipeptidyl peptidase 4 inhibitor, DPP4 inhibitor. You might have heard about the drugs like gliptans. Gliptans. The best comment here, they will keep your weight neutral. They won't change weight. Weight neutral. DPP4 inhibitor. Right, that is called what? Gliptans. Then we have some drugs that is called, yes. So DPP4 inhibitors we have, thiazolidine diones we have, yes. Then DPP4, then we have some drugs called alpha glucosidase inhibitors, acarbose, right? Alpha glucosidase inhibitors, the drugs like acarbose. The problem with acarbose, they will cause you like gas or diarrhea. Gas or diarrhea. Then we have some drugs like SGLT2, serum glucose transport 2 inhibitor, the drugs like glifazolins. Now what they will cause you? They will cause you euglycemic diabetic ketoacidosis, DKA. SGLT2 inhibitor will cause you what? Euglycemic decay. Okay, so that's all about anti-diabetic drugs. Just short briefing here. Then we have one more group if you want. I have already made a video. GLP analog, glucagon-like peptide analogs. The drug ending with the utides. What they will cause you? Weight gain. There is a big video about anti-diabetic drug. You can watch it. Okay, so at least remember these are the second line anti-diabetic drug we give for what? The patient, right? So what is our target every time? Our target is to make the HbA1c decrease. We have to make every month, every 3 months we will check again. We have to check every 3 months, right? Our goal as a good physician, as a good diabetologist, to make the HbA1c less than 7%, then we are successful in the treatment. I am treating a patient, and if I can make a patient's HbA1c less than 7%, it means I am successful there, right? See, listen here. If I don't make it less than 7%, soon the patient can have complications. It comes with, the patient will start having something called retinopathy, diabetic. He will lose the vision. He will have cataract. Sorbitol will accumulate. Remember, overnight cataract or snowflake cataract. They will have nephropathy, diabetic nephropathy. They will have proteinuria, protein in the urine, right? Nephrotic syndrome. Because of diabetes, they will have what? nephropathy, and you will see a nodule there, very important, Kimmelstein-Wilson nodules. Kimmelstein-Wilson nodules. Then the patient will have neuropathy, right? They will not feel anything. All the nerves will be what? Damaged. They will have no nerves working, their feet everywhere. Because of neuropathy, if the nerves are damaged, can my stomach have movement? Of course no. My GIT have movement? Of course no. I will have a problem called gastropathy. I will have constipation. Constipation, that is called diabetic gastropathy. Intestine, parasympathetic system is not working, so I will have gastropathy. So what I will give the patient? I will have diabetic gastropathy. I can give them rifaximin. I can give them prokinetic drug like metoclopramide, or I give the patient like erythromycin. Remember, these are prokinetic drug. They will increase the motility of intestine, because if your grandma or grandpa is diabetic, they will have what? Constipation. Rifaximin is the best drug whenever you have bacteria also in the gut. To stop the bacteria, they inhibit bacteria also. So I can give rifaximin, metoclopramide and erythromycin. For neuropathy, we do monofilament test. Some people, because of neuropathy, they will have what? Urinary incontinence. That is called overflow urinary incontinence. The patient can have, they will have every time urination. Overflow urinary incontinence. Overflow, because urinary bladder, they are supplied by parasympathetic nerve, right? They are not working anymore. So every time they will have in diabetes mellitus, what they will have? Overflow urinary incontinence. The skin of the diabetic patient, you can see they look black in color, black around the neck and all. You can see around the axilla. We call it as acanthosis nigricans, right? The skin, what you will have? Acanthosis nigricans. Black deposition around the neck, around the axilla. So remember, if you are a good physician, before the diabetic patient go to the neuropathy, nephropathy, retinopathy or diabetic foot, other skin problem, you have to make sure you are treating the patient in good manner, the insulin dose is correct, the diabetic drug you are giving is correct, right? Your motto is always to make sure his HbA1c is less than 7. That must be a successful physician, a diabetes must be doing. And that is like duty of a diabetic patient. Every 3 months at least screen again level of glucose, right? Don't be afraid of complications. Don't be afraid, right? It's like you are making your life easier. If you screen, you can control. So you can control the diabetic, right? So in India and all, we call diabetic capital of the world. Many people dying with the diabetes, they are losing their food, diabetic food, silent MI. Nerves are damaged, you will not have any pain, delayed wound healing, other all immune suppression, other all complication. So it's very important, this lecture is very important. There are a lot of questions from here. So hope you are clear about what is diabetes screening, how we are managing. Thank you.